The most recent TWAB brought with it a lot of changes to light subclasses for all three Guardian classes, and one of the most crucial tunings was the change to Bottom Tree Dawnblade and its melee attack. And to top it off, the patch notes mention that Dawn Chorus specifically will strengthen the effect of this reworked melee ability, meaning that it might actually end up being worth the time invested after all. Now, normally I wouldn't miss an opportunity to shit all over Dawn Chorus because the buff it provides is next to worthless, which is why you never see it, because it sucks, but this skill tree rework may be the reason that I start using it, and I'm going to talk about why. But before that, let's take a look at the rework itself. Igniting Touch. Solar ability kills, or kills on burning targets, now cause targets to explode and burn other nearby enemies, who will also explode if they die while burning. This is extremely similar to an exotic you may have already heard of, one that goes by the name of Necrotic Grip. It does the same exact thing, except with poison or corruption, whatever you want to call it. But it's unique because it can be triggered by Thorn as well. But Necro and Thorn are not going to work here, and that's because one burn will cancel out the other if you try to apply both at the same time. And while it is possible that this rework will change that, I'm going to assume that it won't for the sake of accuracy. It's also fair to assume that Dawn Chorus will only restore melee energy based on the burn from the initial target, meaning no infinite melee energy from adjacent enemies nearby. These are just educated guesses based on Bungie's no fun pattern of nerfs and buffs, so don't at me in my comments about it. We'll see how it all works on launch. Template build is exactly as seen on screen. Bottom Tree Dawnblade for Igniting Touch, Ticuu's Divination, Jotun, or Sunshot. Honestly, anything that explodes is good enough. But I do have to emphasize, Ticuu's Divination is the absolute best pick. Sacred Flame is absurdly powerful with this. If you don't have Ticuu's Divination, Jotun is the next best choice, and if all else fails, there's always the tried and true good old Sunshot. And lastly, we've got Explosive Wellmaker and Well of Life with Font of Might and Elemental Armaments. Igniting Touch is going to burn targets, who will then blow up, and then spread that burn to other targets nearby, who will also blow up if they die from the burn damage. The key word there is blow up. Explode. Sunshot rounds explode on kill shots. Jotun explodes in general with tracking and a larger blast radius. And then you got Ticuu's Divination, which just kinda jams its fist up every single prostate within a 50-mile radius. I said it once and I'll say it again. Ticuu's Divination is the way to go if you have any intention of using this theoretical build in the next season and beyond. What we're looking at here is a burn blast hybrid build, one that divides itself evenly between the burning and the blasting, which is what makes me think that it'll be a strong pick next season. Monopolizing on the explosive damage is what ties all of this together. Explosive Wellmaker and Well of Life is a strong mod combo that I imagine will be extremely effective at damage negation, which would likely be paired with either a higher tier resilience or recovery, one or the other. That's really a pick your own poison kind of deal. Dawn Chorus is not going to buff the burn damage from Jotun, and it won't make Sunshot any better either. It is only there to increase Dawnblade's damage potential and ultimately to create a circular energy return by melee burning strong targets in PvE environments to maximize the burn duration. But the wells that it generates are what are going to make this more effective the more it's used. Theoretically, it would become a circle. Targets burn, you get melee energy, they blow up and generate wells, which restore energy for all abilities on cooldown, and with the right mods, they'll even give an extra kick to your solar weapons. Those mods being Font of Might and Elemental Armaments. Font of Might would increase solar weapon damage when picking up one of the 8,473 solar wells that you'll find on the ground. Elemental Armaments is going to add an extra touch to that, as elemental kills that match your subclass element have an escalating chance to spawn an additional well. Those wells are going to trigger a 10-second healing buff that cannot be interrupted, and they'll also boost solar weapon damage. This is pretty easy to assemble, and honestly, I really think that this is one of those things that'll be widely used in the coming seasons and further on down the road. Though there will likely be tweaks to this by creators who are a bit larger than myself. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Warmind cells and why I didn't bother to mention them in this video until now. My reasoning is that given the nerf to cells in a general sense, I wanted to leave those off the template because they're subject to change still, and while we've got numbers to dictate the strength of those changes, we aren't really going to know the extent of them until the season starts and we physically see them in action. That being said, however, there is still a potent combo for Warmind cells that leans heavily into the explosive damage and can even bolster it, magnify it, make it even more lethal than it would normally be on its own. Those mods specifically are Wrath of Rasputin, This triggers a chance drop for a Warmind cell on a solar splash kill, which is literally the only thing you're gonna be doing. Next, we've got burning cells, which adds a burn dot to targets that didn't get blown the fuck away by the initial detonation of said cell. And lastly, if that just wasn't enough, for whatever reason, we've got Power of Rasputin, which buffs your gun damage against targets that are near said cell. All of this combined makes for some theoretical chaos, something I am extremely excited about, but alas, take all of this with a grain of salt. I honestly have no knowledge if any of this will actually work the way that I've described it in this video. Legitimately, it's all based on hunches and existing game mechanics, so I suppose we'll just have to kind of wait and see. Either way, you guys know the drill. Shut the doors, cut off the lights. This has been another episode of Build Talks. Goodbye.